All right, so next up we have Ryerson. Ryerson is one of Canada's top universities. They offer multiple programs in the arts, including creative industries, fashion, film, photography, interior design, performance, music, and media. Please welcome Eileen Varios from Ryerson.
Hi everyone, how is everyone? Hopefully everyone is doing well. I'm just gonna set up my screen here so we have some visuals. There we go. Let me know in the chat if you can't see it or if anything has gone wrong. But hi, yes, my name is Ashlyn. I'm here to talk a little bit about Ryerson University, specifically about the Creative School. The Creative School is our faculty for creatives who want to disrupt the industry, who want to create something new. We are all about creativity in the Creative School. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about who we are in just a second. I do want to quickly mention the land acknowledgement, which I'm sure you had one at the beginning of the whole session. This is the Toronto land acknowledgement that you see on screen. And the reason I put this on the screen is because I wanted to update you on some important information regarding some changes at our university. This past August, our Standing Strong Task Force submitted and got approval for 22 recommendations to improve the way that we're currently doing things at the institution. One of those things included an institution name change. So Ryerson will no longer be called Ryerson very soon. We will be getting a new name. Before anyone asks, I do not know what the new name will be, but this is something that a lot of us have asked for. This is something that students have asked for. So it's a great change that's coming and we're really excited about it. And I encourage you to keep up to date with us for that. But today I want to talk a little bit more about the Creative School. And the Creative School is a faculty within the wider university, and we really are a place like no other. The Creative School is a dynamic faculty that is making a difference in new and unexplored ways. It's made up of Canada's top professional schools, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, with some transdisciplinary hubs in media, communication, design, and the cultural industries. The Creative School offers students an unparalleled global experience in the heart of downtown Toronto. So let's break that down a little bit more. We have 9 professional schools, but we actually have 29 programs. 15 of those programs are undergraduate programs. And we have an extensive legacy with extensive number of alumni, a network of over 200,000 alumni for you to connect with, not only while you're still a student, but even post-graduation across Canada and across the world. We have transdisciplinary hubs, and I don't know another institution that has quite an ecosystem like we do at the Creative School. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about them in just a second. And of course, a robust network of partnerships that really helps us create a real focus on hands-on learning. All our programs are geared towards making students job ready. We work with the industry to make sure that students are prepared for careers in media and creative industries. And I'm going to just mention a few here. Feel free to let me know in the chat if you're particularly interested about any of them, and I might pop in with some new examples for you. But the first I always like to talk about is fashion, because it actually has been ranked within the top 10 of the world. And fashion students actually have to complete 400 hours of work experience while they're still students. So we're consistently integrating the workplace, the workforce into what students have to do. One of the things that they can do is called Mass Exodus, and Mass Exodus is actually one of the largest student-run fashion shows in all of North America, and our students actually put it together. So not only are our students organizing the event, they're inviting special guests to the event. Mind you, we're in the fashion district of Canada, so there are lots of fashion industry experts that come to this show every year. But it's also an opportunity for our graduating class and our students who study fashion design to really show off their work. And it's one of their capstone projects. They get to see their own work run down the runway. We're also the home to programs such as creative industries, which is really just the business side of the art world, as well as new media, which really blends technology and art together. And we have a brand new program this year called Professional Music. You might have actually seen it on the news. We were featured on CNN, eTalk, Global News as well. And they've talked a little bit about the brand new Professional Music program. It's really about the business side of performance the actual production of modern music. And we actually have a class that's all about the deconstruction of Drake and The Weeknd's career and how not only have they become such influential musicians in the Toronto scene, but also worldwide. So I promised I'd mention a little bit more about those three transdisciplinary hubs. So let me get to that right now. These 3 transdisciplinary hubs are called the Creative School Catalyst. We have the Creative School Design and Technology Lab, and finally, the Creative School Innovation Studio. And they're all a little different, but what's important for you to know is that they are available to you as a student in any single one of our creative school programs. The Catalyst is a research center and an innovation hub consisting of 17 centers and labs that bring research to life and showcase them in a new creative way. So this is all about a research center where students can actually go and help top research chairs in the country do their research in the creative industries. The Design and Technology Lab is a tech-based workshop. It's all about accessing technology with state-of-the-art equipment and learning how to use that technology while you're still a student in new and unexplored ways. So a quick example of that is the picture you see on screen. You see a mechanical arm with a dancer. Those two things usually don't go together, but they do at the creative school. That's what we like to see. We train people to use the technology and we ask them to use it in new, artistic, innovative ways. And finally, then we have the Innovation Studio, which is made up of creative incubators, such as the Transmedia Zone, the Fashion Zone, and the Design Fabrication Zone that are devoted to innovation in storytelling, music, fashion, design, and maker culture. It provides support for forward-thinking creators and entrepreneurs with resources, programming, guidance. They have office space, workshops that they can take. And this is really an opportunity for students to take an idea and turn it into a business while they're still studying. We've had many success stories with Zone Learning. A really cool one is called iDesigns. Alexa, who was a fashion student, started this brand company. She now lives out in Chicago. And basically what it is, it's a fashion company that's all about accessibility and accessible fashion. So she uses Swarovski crystals to design and make garments with actual readable braille in order to really promote accessibility in fashion. So with this, hopefully you kind of get the idea of what kind of school we are. We're not just about one thing. We're about many things, and students are consistently thinking, doing, and making. They're consistently thinking about the things that they're going to be making. What aspects will that bring? Looking at the academic side of that. Then they're actually going to make the thing and do the thing. We're all about that hands-on learning here. So let me take you through some of our basic DNA and then finally into some admission prospects. And of course, we'll have time for some Q&A as well. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that students are ready for jobs that currently don't exist. We want our students to graduate with the knowledge of what's happening in their field in any moment, in that moment. It's not about what you did 10 years ago in the field. It's all about what you're doing now. And we do that with our professors who have 1 foot in the door and 1 foot in the industry. We want to be up to date and reinvent the industry. When you go out there, we don't want you to just get a job. We want you to disrupt the industry and create something completely new. Next, it's all about professional depth with a transdisciplinary advantage. So how do we do that? Well, we do it through transdisciplinary studies. Not only do we have those hubs that I talked about where students can work together with students in other faculty and other programs, but we also have things like super courses. We even have places where students in journalism, for example, or performance production, to interior design and sport media can all work together through a number of courses. We have a live course, which is all about live entertainment. How do they actually make that? We have a course called the Global Campus Studio that connects students from across the world. And these are opportunities for students to work with students, again, in other programs and to help each other learn a little bit more about our other programs. Because when you're out in the industry, you're not just working with people in your field, you're working with people from all depths and all different passions and fields as well. Next is public engagement. This is all about how creativity is really connected and all about audience and user experience. So for example, if you're creating a film, how does the audience interact with that? If you're creating a garment, who is the garment for? Who's wearing the garment? Let's break all of that apart. Let's innovate it. Let's turn it on its head. Let's really come up with new and ideas that really are user-friendly and user-forward. There are also so many opportunities for our students to not only keep it Canadian, but also go global. Our students have access to a worldwide education. Not only do we offer immense exchange programs, for example, we've sent photography students, for example, to Denmark, but we also offer really intensive courses. So for example, if you're a student who wants to study media production, well, you can take a course called RTA in LA, where you get to go to Los Angeles for 2 weeks. You're housed in UCLA down there. You basically get to take a Hollywood boot camp. You get to talk to showrunners from various TV shows. The last time they went, they talked to the producer of the Brady Bunch and the showrunner of The Handmaid's Tale. They get to tour lots and studios. They get to also attend different shows. So the last time they were there, they got to be in the audience for the James Corden show. And then at the end of those 2 weeks, you can actually also pitch your TV show idea to Hollywood executives. So it's an example of one course. We've also sent our performance students to tour a show in Greece. We've sent our interior design students to redesign the inside of a castle in Italy. We've sent our journalism students to Jerusalem to talk about journalism in one of the most ancient cities in the world. We've sent sport media students to New York. It kind of keeps going. We have so many intensive opportunities for students that even if you don't want to spend a whole semester abroad, you can spend a little bit of time learning about what the thing that you love to do the most. We are the home to 4 hubs around the world where we have basically pop-up campuses. We have a New York hub, a hub in Cairo, one in Italy, and one in London, UK. And of course, we're a university. We're all about the professional scholarship. We want to make sure that you have that academia to back you up, which is an unparalleled network to provide unique professor relationships in Canada and around the world. So we're making sure that we're hiring the best of the best in order to teach you the best of the industry out there. Speaking of connections, we also bring the industry right to the classroom. So that's kind of the advantage of being in downtown Toronto. But like I mentioned, we are in downtown Toronto. We're actually at the intersection of Yonge and Dundas, which is the busiest intersection in all of Canada. And we use the fact that we're in Toronto to our advantage. In Toronto, you are steps away on campus because we're literally right in the middle of campus. You see, this is a building on campus, and that right there is the CN Tower. It's not a far walk. You can walk to the CN Tower from where we are. But we actually are steps away from the entertainment district in Canada, the financial district in Canada, the fashion district in Canada. We are in the center of Toronto. Again, we use that to our advantage by bringing in our industry partners. And we have all sorts of industry partners. This is a short list of the long list that we have. Some others include, or actually, I'll give you a personal example. I myself was a student in media production. One of the classes that I took was called Transmedia Storytelling. And in that class, the CBC actually came in and gave us one of our assignments. And the assignment was that we had to find local change makers in our community and create a short documentary about them. Mine actually got selected during Canada 150. So mine actually got selected to be featured on their social media page. So I can now put that on my resume. Now I can say that I had a video commissioned by the CBC and it was featured on their social media page, which is huge. So now that we've kind of gone into a little bit about who we are as a faculty, why we're a little bit different, what kind of programs we actually offer, I want to talk a little bit about the application process. So if you are interested in applying to our university, you're going to be doing that through the OUAC or OUAC, which stands for the Ontario University's Application Center. This is a website. And you can apply as of October 2022 or October 2021, so it just passed. You can apply tonight if you'd like to. But basically, once you log on to the OUAC, you're going to be using a 105 application. We're going to be asking students to do this before our equal consideration deadline, which is February 1st. On the OUAC, you can pay a base fee to pick up to 3 universities or 3 programs to apply for, but you can add a little bit more money to apply for more if you wish to do so. You can apply to up to 3 Ryerson programs if you'd like to do that. But again, I want to reiterate that our equal consideration deadline is February 1st. Now, there are two types of programs that we have at our institution. The first is grades only, and the second is grades plus. For grades only, we're going to be looking for obviously a high school diploma with 5 academic grade 12 courses. If you have advanced placements or if you're taking an IB curriculum, those are also going to be considered. We also ask that you please note that career and workplace experience courses, co-op courses, and challenge examinations will not be considered for admission purposes. But of course, our website has a little bit more information on what we do take and what we don't take, so I really recommend you checking that out. We also have our grades plus programs. So for grades plus programs, we're going to be calculating an average with your grades, like I just described, plus some non-academic requirements. So for example, if you're applying to interior design, you're going to be submitting a portfolio. If you're going to be applying for dance, you're going to actually have to come and audition for us. If you're applying for film, you're going to submit a short film. It's really imperative that you're checking what those non-academic requirements are, all of which are on our website. And here's a tip, make sure to read those instructions carefully. I cannot tell you how many students don't read the instructions carefully, and it's a really easy way of just disqualifying yourself, and no one wants that. So as long as you read the instructions very carefully, you're already setting yourself up for something positive. Now with that, I'm sure you're wondering, okay, well, what are some tips and tricks for my non-academic requirements if I have any in my program? Well, I'm actually going to let an expert tell you a little bit more about that. I'm going to let Chris Alexander tell you more.
Grades only, grades plus. Hi, my name is Dr. Christopher Alexander, and I'm known as the video games professor at Ryerson University. Each year, we get thousands of applicants into the program, and if you're going to be applying to one of our many programs, you should distinguish whether or not it's going to be a grades only program or a grades plus program. For grades only programs, you can apply with the standard application requirements. For many grades plus programs, you're going to want to check the non-academic requirements, many of which are portfolios. But don't worry, portfolios are pretty straightforward. To help you along your way, this video is going to give you some quick tips on how to successfully prepare your portfolio. We have 6 programs that require portfolios, and they are fashion, photo, film, interior design, new media, and music. If you're interested in dance, acting, performance production, or media production, you may need to also audition, interview, or meet other requirements as part of the application process. Be sure to check. If you need to submit a portfolio, here are some tips. Number 1, be sure you have the most up-to-date requirements. Portfolios differ from program to program, and they may change from year to year. You can find this information online through the Ryerson admissions website. Number 2, follow the instructions closely. We receive thousands of applications each year across our programs. By following the instructions, you're already ahead of the pack. If you have any questions, please connect with us. We'll be hosting a number of events where you'll get a chance to connect with staff, faculty, and students. Number 3, get started early. Preparing a portfolio takes time. You'll need to carefully select your pieces and put your best work forward so that we can evaluate whether you've got the skills, passion, and creativity. Leaving your portfolio for the last minute is never a good idea. Number 4, show us who you are and what you've got. Portfolios are just another way we can get to know you. While there are technical requirements for portfolios, there are also opportunities for you to tell us who you are. Tell us about your work, what your passions are, and why you're excited about the program. Number 5, show us some variety. We want to see a mix of work. Don't just submit 5 of the same pieces. Find the stuff that you're really excited about, because that tells us more about who you are. Remember that portfolio requirements for each program are different. Some may prefer freehand drawings over AutoCAD, while others will equally accept digital design. Check the requirements, and if in doubt, reach out. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing you next year.
So hopefully that gives you a little bit of background knowledge on what we're looking for and just some quick tips and tricks about for when you're actually looking at creating that portfolio, should you be applying to a program with a portfolio requirement. Once you go through the entire OUAC application process, you figured out what pieces you need for your portfolio, you will be sent an email inviting you into the Choose Ryerson portal. You log in with the student number that you get through the OUAC, and this is really important for students because this is how the university actually speaks to their students. We do not send physical mail in the mail anymore. We're very eco-friendly. So this is how we communicate with our students. And we ask that you check this portal regularly to keep up to date with us. You're also going to be submitting in a supplemental application through this portal. And this is also where you're going to be submitting those non-academic requirements. Again, if you're applying to a program with non-academic requirements. So this portal is super important and you should be checking this regularly to make sure you're keeping your application, first of all, up to date, but second of all, that if we're sending you anything or we need information from you, you see it and you get that to us in a timely manner. So with that, I'm going to ask you to stay connected with us. You can do that on all social media platforms, as you can see on the screen. I also want to let you know about 2 upcoming events that we're hosting. On the 16th, we're doing a student expo where students are able, like yourselves, are able to connect with our current students. So for example, if you're interested in joining our photography program, you can actually speak to a current photography program and ask them a little bit more about their experiences. We also have a non-academic requirement day where you can sit down with 15 minutes with the program of your choice and speak a little bit more about those non-academic requirements. And that's it from me. I'd love to welcome Hannah back up so we can do a little bit of Q&A.
Great. Thank you so much, Ashlyn.
Thank you.
I'll start us off with a couple questions, and if anyone has any, they can type it up in the chat. So I'm curious if you could tell us a little bit more about what it's like attending a university with an art program as opposed to a dedicated art university.
Yeah, so the faculty or the creative school is a faculty that is more of our artistic creative programs. And that really does feel like its own little unit. We have buildings that are designed specifically for certain programs as well as for certain faculty. So for example, if you're studying interior design, you have a whole building dedicated just to students of interior design. If you're studying graphic communications management, again, an entire building just for students in graphic communication management. Fun fact about that building, it was actually paid for completely by the industry. The university didn't spend a dime when making that building. So in terms of, are there other programs? Of course there are. And it's actually quite an advantage because you actually get to, you can make friends in other programs, you can make connections and networking opportunities are there. But in terms of the creative school, we really are a tight-knit community and it almost feels like its own little unit in a way.
And could you tell us a bit about your most popular major programs? Like which programs are the most popular there?
Yeah, there are quite a number, especially the creative school programs are very popular. But within the creative school program, it gets a little more complicated. It really does depend on what you're interested in. I will say, because we have so many noteworthy programs, I said fashion is ranked internationally. Interior design has been ranked internationally. RTA media production has been ranked internationally. Those tend to be very popular as well. But all our programs are very interesting and all of them are popular, to be honest. It's really hard to say which one's the most.
Good answer. We have a question from the chat here. It says, for a fashion student in the portfolio, do they need a portfolio or like a fashion project within their portfolio? Sorry.
No, it's
and they
okay.
also want to know what the academic requirement is for an international student.
Great questions. So I'll answer the second question first for the academic requirement. If you aren't studying currently in BC, you will have to look up, depending on where you're studying from, the actual academic requirements per country. If you are an international student who currently is in BC and is studying through the BC program, again, it's those 5 academic grade 12 courses. And if you're taking the IB curriculum, we'll also accept that as well. There are no additional requirements for international students other than perhaps an English language proficiency test if you've been in the country for less than 4 years. Now to the first part of the question, the portfolio piece. Fashion is a grades plus program, so it does require a portfolio. Now, on our website, it does actually outline exactly what we're looking for in that portfolio, and it actually gives you some choices. So students aren't required to know how to sew to enter the program. So you don't necessarily need to actually create, you don't have to create a ball gown or something to include that in your portfolio. But if you have that, please do include it. But there are many different things that you can include. So some of that includes, you can do some graphic design work. You can write a fashion business proposal. It could be something in fine arts. It could just be a photography or an illustration. It could also be like a textile design. So if you have an idea to create some sort of fabric, it could be that, or even a fashion event, because not all of our fashion students are going to be fashion designers, right? We also have students who study fashion history, fashion communications. So the portfolio is pretty, it gives you lots of choices because we know that we're not just looking for one type of fashion student. We're really looking for a variety of things.
Great. And another question from the chat. How many students are in the fashion program on average per year?
Awesome question. I'm actually going to pull up last year's data for you. The programs the way that it works at the creative school is those numbers tend to shift year to year, depending on a lot of things, depending on fire capacities, and as well as just whether or not we're going to be online or not with the pandemic. If for those who are wondering, in the winter, we are hoping to open up more and more as time goes on. In terms of last year, I'm looking it up right now. Last year, we had approximately 200 seats, and I suspect that this year will be probably similar.
Great. And you said that you're an alumni. Could you tell us a little bit about why you decided to go to Ryerson?
Yeah, I chose media production. I was actually, this is a funny story, but it's a true story. I was reading a magazine one day and on just my lunch break at my summer job, and I saw an article about top 10 film schools to study in. And I honestly didn't see myself in that world. I didn't really ever consider filmmaking as a career. My plan was to become a lawyer. And I was reading it and I saw that Ryerson was listed, and I was like, hey, that isn't somewhere far. Like, that isn't in LA, that isn't in England or something. That's pretty relatively close. It's in the same country as I live in. So I decided I was just going to apply on a whim because on my spare time, I was reading The Hollywood Reporter. I loved filmmaking and I wanted to try it out, and I got in. And I've never looked back. I loved my time there. I'm still creating. I'm still in filmmaking. But really the reason I chose it was twofold. One, because of its reputation as an institution, but also because of its location. Being in downtown Toronto, in Canada, there are 2 hotspots for film and television, and that's Vancouver and Toronto. And Toronto is basically known as Hollywood North. So I was very eager to study that, where that actually happens.
Great. And I have one last question from the chat I think we should have time for. Someone wants to know a little bit more about submitting a fashion portfolio. I think that what they'd like to know is if it's better to have like a broader portfolio in terms of style, or if it would be stronger to have like one style within your portfolio, like in terms of like high fashion or maybe like streetwear, etc.
I'll let you as a student kind of be the decipher of that, but I'll add a caveat to that and say, make sure you're showing us your best work. If you're someone who designs street style and as well like couture or something, like, sure, yeah, you can include that. But if you're someone who focuses on one style, don't force yourself in another style unless you're already comfortable in that, because what we want to see is your best work. We don't want to see the work that you did last night or the work that you think will get you in, because we've seen a lot of portfolios and we can tell. We can tell the difference of when someone is just passionate and does this in their spare time, and they've shown us some of their best work versus work that they think that we want to see.
Great. And I actually just got a clarification. They were actually looking more for an answer for like, is it okay if it's just fashion in their portfolio and no other sort of discipline, like no drawing or anything?
Yeah, that's totally okay. Like I said, our fashion portfolio is pretty broad in what they're looking for. We don't, and if you look, can I share my screen? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen and show the actual requirements. Give me a second. If you look at the portfolio section, it says you need 4 finished pieces, and it gives you a lot of criteria on what it could be. It doesn't specify that it has to be in any of these things. And you'll see here, there's more than 4 categories. So no matter what, you're gonna eliminate some of these categories. So yes, it really is open, and it allows you to kind of do what you need to do. It's open for you to show us your passion for fashion. So even if you can't draw, you can still apply to fashion.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ashlyn, for your presentation.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.